It's live and local, real talk. With Beaver, Kelly, and Lee. Coming to you Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. on WSME. Well, you can call right up, you can jump right in. Tell your family, yeah, tell your friends. It's live and local, real talk. On Freedom 97.1, 1120 a.m. WSME.
Hi, buddy, Steve.
I love that.
Good morning. I'm Rayford Brown.
And I'm Kelly now.
And welcome to the Monday edition. Is it still Monday?
It's Monday.
When's Friday?
4 days from now.
Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy.
Mhm.
Anyway, got a long week ahead of us. No doubt about it. We got a lot of stuff going on this week. I mean, good gracious, we've got Senator Tillis tomorrow, I think it is. And of course, we got Dr. Rosemary on Wednesday. And heaven knows who else this week.
We have Jerome Willingham on Friday.
Jerome Willingham will be in here on Friday.
We do.
Former Jacksonville City Council person. Jerome will be joining us this Friday morning to talk about a suit that's been filed against the city of Jacksonville and the Board of Elections and good God,
county
who else?
commissioners.
And the county
They got named in it.
Board of Elections.
They're named because of the Board of Elections.
Claiming that the ward district is just wrong. And I absolutely agree with the concept of the suit. And so Jerome and I will have a frank discussion because he's the one who started it back in the 1990s.
Okay.
So he's the one he's actually, as a sitting city councilman, he brought a suit against the city of Jacksonville.
Oh, really?
Yeah. That's how we got into the ward system. So we're going to discuss all of that. And I disagree with the suit being filed to name the county commissioners in it or the Board of Elections.
I agree because the Board of Elections is only enforcing what was in place. I mean, they have no dog in this fight.
No dog in the fight, but now they got to defend it.
Yeah.
So, and that costs money.
It does cost money.
It costs all of us money. So that's just not cool.
I agree with that.
I think in all likelihood, a motion will be made, and some judge in a preliminary is going to say, "Man, take them out of this," but that will still cost money to get it done.
Yeah, got to pay for a lawyer to defend that little part.
Yeah, buddy.
I agree.
So whatever. Bunch of mess going on everywhere. I want to start out with an editorial. Part of an editorial it was published last Wednesday in the Boston Herald. Okay. Peter Lucas, he's the writer. He said, this is just part of it. I'll read to you. Joe Biden could have been a good president. All he had to do was leave things alone. Instead, he blundered into the office and wrecked the country. He's like the guy on a Boeing 747 high over the Atlantic Ocean who breaks into the cockpit and says, "I can fly this thing." You don't have to, Joe, the pilot says. It's on autopilot. It flies itself, computers and all that. Joe presses buttons and flips switches. Didn't matter. The plane goes into a nosedive, which is where we are today. You don't put a guy like this in control. He's President Doom. Everything he touches goes bad, and nothing is his fault. He took an energy-independent country and turned it into a nation begging Saudi Arabia and Venezuela for oil. Gasoline prices hit the roof and inflation soared, but it's not his fault. He forgot how he preened on day one of his presidency, launching his war on domestic-produced energy in favor of his green dream of a fossil fuel-free world. Biden, John Kerry, his climate change czar, and the progressives would have you believe that the world will come to an end unless their anti-fossil fuel agenda is adopted. Yes, the world may come to an end, but the chances are the end will come sooner from the unleashing of nuclear weapons than it will come from the use of fossil fuels. But you do not hear politicians like Biden or Kerry talk much about doing away with nuclear weapons. On the contrary, Biden is reopening nuclear negotiations with Iran, which will eventually lead to the Iranians having a nuclear bomb.
What?
Oh, he's already done that. He's been talking with them.
How did I not know this?
You missed it.
Apparently.
This is a good editorial.
I agree with that.
It's one that I could have written. It's certainly one that I totally approve of.
Right.
And agree with. Joe Biden And I'm sorry, Steve and all the others, he is a disaster for this country. He has done nothing for this country in almost 2 years in office. He's done everything to this country, but nothing for it.
You know, that would be a good question to ask, to have someone call and name what good they think he's done. I mean, and this is me not trying to start a fight, legitimately asking, name some things that, you think he's done that's good. I'd like to know. Since
And then
apparently I didn't even know about the whole thing with Iran.
Here's what they're going to counter with.
Okay.
And I'll tell you right now. What did Trump do good
But
for this country?
that's not my question.
No. But that's what they counter with every time. What did Trump do good for this country?
Lower the cost of insulin for people with fixed incomes. And that might not be significant to some people, but I'm here to tell you, for someone on a fixed income or very low income, that's a huge deal.
Uh-huh.
So that's the one thing I'll name.
For someone on a fixed income, $5 a gallon for gasoline, not that long ago, and climbing back up there, by the way. It got down to $3 here, $3.02. Now it's on the way back up again. And it's going to get higher this winter. And we've heard about it. We know it. We know what's going on. For someone on a fixed income who doesn't travel a lot by car to go anywhere, it still costs almost 50% more. Well, it does cost at least 50% more than the day before the election in 2020. It was $2.12 a gallon right here in Jacksonville, where today, well, over the weekend, it was $3.32 to $3.28. Same gas station, $3.28, as opposed to $2.12 the day before the election in 2020. I made a note of it that day just to be sure. That's where we are. How much was a ribeye that time? Oh, you don't need a ribeye. No, it's not whether I need it or not. It's whether I want it and can afford it. Price of ribeye was like $7 a pound, which was, to me, very high anyway. Then it went up to
it's like double that now.
$14.98 a pound.
I saw that recently.
And some crappy ribeyes are low, lesser price, but lower. What's wrong with this country? JB, and that doesn't mean Jim B. It means Joe Biden. And the Democrat National Committee that put that blundering idiot, what do you call them?
Bumbling boob.
Those are the ones that put him in charge, thinking that after 2 years they were going to, oh my God, we convinced Kamala Harris to drop out of the race and quit calling Joe Biden an idiot, which she was accurate. And then we'll put you in as vice president. We'll make him choose you as VP. And then in 2 years, he will bow out and you'll be president for 2 years, almost 2 years. And then you can run on your own accord. No, they don't want her now either. So now they've got two losers. What are they going to do?
I think they're scrambling to find a suitable replacement candidate.
I don't think they can find one at this point in time.
No.
It takes several
they're all fighting
years.
amongst themselves.
It takes years.
Yeah.
And they've got to follow in Biden's footsteps. Holy crapola.
Well, the Republicans aren't in much better of a
no, they're not
trying to find a candidate.
That means the country is not in good shape.
No.
And it looks like this Ron DeSantis is about the only choice out there, and he's awful.
He's a bumbling boob too.
It's
I've never
awful.
liked him. I just
it's
don't
just
like
awful.
him.
So maybe we should just go rudderless for one full term.
I shudder at the thought of that.
Why?
I just do.
Just let the military and the individual states take over. If the individual states would just rule on themselves and themselves alone, and the military keeps the animals from invading the country, then, maybe we could find out that we could get along without our
I don't
president.
think so. I think the states would rule like individual countries. You know
They
what I mean?
would.
Like, I don't think that's the right idea.
You got a better one?
No, but give me some time. I'll come up with something. Yeah, I have
That's
to
the
think
problem.
about it. Yeah,
Nobody can tell me what's the better one.
Don't know what there is.
Yeah.
Well, we had the on Friday we had the local election debate.
Debates, yeah.
No forum. candidate
forum.
forum.
It's not
I
a
wouldn't
debate.
call it a debate. I'll call it a forum.
Yeah, debates
We-
when
yeah.
the candidates
They
take
like
on
fight each other. And this one was just answering questions. Chamber of Commerce puts it on every year.
Yep.
It's always very good. We had one for the House of Representative here.
Mhm.
Had 3 candidates there for that one.
The House of U.S. House.
Yeah, no, local NC.
North Carolina House. Well,
Yeah, NC House. I'm sorry. Yes, NC
we got
House.
3 candidates there. And there.
Yes, we had Phil Shepard, George Cleveland, and Ike Johnson participated.
Well,
in that
yeah,
one.
but there's another one who.
But he wasn't there.
The other one, neither the guy challenging Shepard
didn't show
nor Dixon was there.
No, Dixon wasn't there. And
Amazing.
Yeah. It was just those
Why are
3.
these people even in
Yeah.
charge? Why do they want to be
Mm-hmm.
in office if they don't show up?
Mhm.
Even an incumbent doesn't show up. He represents part of Onslow County.
Mhm. He wasn't there. And I did not hear
Really?
the reason why. And then Board of Election,
There's no reason. There could be an excuse, but there's no reason.
the Board of Election, we had an incumbent not there, but he was at a state board thing.
So
But he gave a video.
a challenger.
No, it was Bill Lanier.
Oh, Bill.
Yeah.
Well, that's Board of Education.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I mean, Board of Education.
I-
That was his middle one. He gave a videotaped speech. I don't know if speech right word. At the very beginning, but he was at some kind of Board of Education somewhere, not here. I don't know where.
No.
I didn't get. Yeah, and then
No.
the third one was the county commissioner, and the Democratic candidate did not show up for that one.
You don't deserve it.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I think these are important because this, especially when this is going to be the only one they have, this not everybody has made up their mind
Oh, I have now.
about who they're voting for.
Just based upon what you
So-
told me, I've already made up my mind who ain't going to get my vote.
Yeah. One thing I learned from listening, pay attention to these 3 is I really hope that people do their homework and do not vote based on the letter behind someone's name. Because
Never ever.
yeah, I think the letter behind the name does not necessarily make them a good choice.
Mhm.
So I think that, and back in the day when I was a younger voter, I would just vote based on the letter. No more. I have learned through the years, and especially, let's say, the last 10 years, the letter behind the name does not, just because they're in your party, so to speak, does not make them a good candidate.
One of the candidates, the gentleman running against Phil Shepard, by the way, a Democrat, Chris Schultz or Schulte.
I
don't know.
I call it Schulte, but I don't know. Yeah.
He didn't.
He did not. He wasn't there.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've reached out. Lee has reached out to any number of the candidates. He
Mhm.
happens to be one of them,
Mm-hmm.
and he hasn't seen fit to even get back to her.
Mm-hmm.
Multiple calls. So
I don't know anything about that guy.
so
I definitely.
neither will
I'm
anybody
not going
else.
to vote for anybody I don't know anything about.
Nope.
I want to know what you stand for.
You don't. You
What
can't
you
vote
can
in
do
that-
for me.
that race
No, I
anyway,
can't
but
vote in that
either
race.
way.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Um,
But I have friends that can, and sometimes I'll say, "What do you think?" I'm like, "Well, I can't answer that about him. I don't even know. I don't even know who this guy is."
I've reached out to George Cleveland.
Mm-hmm.
He hasn't. He said no
Mm-hmm.
on several occasions. I've talked to him since the last. I don't know. It was last spring.
Yeah.
After the primary.
Mm-hmm.
Nope. He said, no, don't need to. No, don't need to. Well, Ike Johnson said yes, and I think he said yes again for a follow up.
Yeah.
So I don't know. County commissioners, the Democrat didn't show up.
No. Mm-mm.
What are you doing? Why are you wasting Board of Elections efforts?
I haven't even seen any signs for the Democrat candidate for commissioner.
I
mean,
no.
I don't understand.
People. If you want to, I encourage everybody. I don't care
do.
whether you're a Democrat, Republican, or one of me,
Mhm.
my party.
Mm-hmm.
We have a fun party. That's what. Here we go. I'm gonna change the name.
Mm-hmm.
Fun party, not independent.
Oh, I like
Just
that.
come up with the
Yeah.
fun party.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you're not even going to show up,
Mm-hmm.
not even accept an invitation for a radio show, then either you are not serious or you're a dummy,
Mm-hmm.
one or the other. So if you're not serious, it's okay. If you're a dummy, my God, help us. We got enough of those in office already.
Well, I agree. And I think, like I said, these gives the voting public a chance to see kind of where a person's thought process is, how they
Absolutely.
perhaps would vote, what they should do. I think of all three of the races, in my opinion, the Board of Education one was the most enlightening, at least to me,
Okay.
as a voter. And I think, with this, with as a counselor, I know a lot of the issues goes on with our children.
Mhm.
As a grandmother to a child that's neurodivergent, I definitely know what obstacles a lot of children face
Yes.
in the learning in the learning environment within the schools. And I will start by saying, my daughter was a teacher. My other daughter's sister-in-law is a current teacher here in Onslow County.
Mhm.
So I know a lot of the challenges that a lot of these teachers are facing in the schools. And there are challenges. And we even have a huge teacher shortage here. I mean,
Yes.
we have a bus driver shortage. We have a
Yes.
shortage in general. So, our school system does have a lot of issues. And I have, my best friend in the world has been a teacher 30 years back in Rockingham County. And I've got friends that teach in other counties throughout the state. I mean, the issues seem to be similar no matter where you live. So I know the issues here in Onslow are not just indicative of Onslow County.
Let's talk about the bus driver
Mhm.
shortage for just a minute.
Yeah.
Back in my day,
Mhm.
in the 1800s or whatever, we
Mhm.
had buses that were,
Horse
know,
and right.
yeah,
Yeah,
you
your horse and buggy. Yeah.
uh, there were no what they call adult drivers.
No, when I was a kid, there was the high school kids were the
High
bus
school
drivers. Yeah.
students drove the buses,
Yeah.
and there was a standing room only line of bus drivers, and they had absolutely a bunch of substitute
Mhm.
bus drivers.
Mhm.
That's how I started. I was a substitute bus driver after I got my bus certification.
So to fill in if someone was
So
sick or whatever.
that's
Yeah.
right.
Makes
There I go.
sense. Yeah.
And it was generally on the same or an adjacent route
Mhm.
that
Correct.
would
Which
do it.
makes sense.
Because they had
Yeah.
plenty. In other words, they had probably double
Mhm.
the number of certified bus drivers as were required.
Okay.
Okay. It's like, wow.
Yeah. Well, we don't have that
And
problem now,
and
unfortunately.
the record for those was excellent.
Mhm.
The year or 2 years that I drove, there was one bus driver.
Mhm.
Here's what you had to have. First of all, you had to have a clean record. You couldn't have a speeding
Yeah,
ticket
well,
at
yeah.
all.
Well,
Period.
yeah.
At all.
You
Zero.
don't want a
Zips,
bus driver
zero.
speeding down the road with the kids in the
Well,
bus.
you couldn't
Yeah.
speed because they had governors
yeah,
on them.
yeah.
They had 35 miles per hour was top
Yeah.
end. Okay, that was it.
Yeah.
But they would not allow you to have any kind of a ticket
Well,
on your record.
I'm
If
for
you
that.
if you got
Yeah.
one, even when you were in your personal car, while you were driving a bus
Mhm.
later on, when you were not driving a bus, but when you were off duty, you got a
Mhm.
ticket. I only know of one, and he was relieved of his bus driving
Mhm.
credentials immediately. Didn't even wait for the trial.
Mhm. Yeah.
It was it. You're done.
I
And
mean,
those were the rules.
yes.
So,
But I think the
but
rules
we
are a
had-
little different now.
Well, I'm sure that they are
Mhm.
because I find buses running 50
Mhm.
miles an hour and stuff.
Yeah.
Um,
That's probably as fast as they go, but I hear what you're saying. Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Most of the buses are in
Mhm.
35, 45 mile per hour speed
Mhm.
zones.
Well, they
Okay.
have to too because they have to stop, go. I mean, it's
Yeah,
not like
yeah.
they're running 10 miles apart from
No.
stops. Well, I guess in some places they are, but generally, yeah, it's
So
little short
anyway,
distances.
I don't understand there being a shortage. The pay in those days, well, you ready for this? $30 a month. That's a 20-day period of time. You get $30 for it.
Oh my. Well,
That's $1.50 per day. I ran 3 routes per day, 3
Mhm.
trips per day.
Well, they're making more
That's
than that now.
50 cents
Yeah.
per trip
Mhm.
that I got.
Yeah, the pay is better than that.
Oh,
right?
I know it
Yeah,
is
yeah.
way
Yeah.
much better than that. I mean, I've given it
Mhm.
some thought. A little door. Wow, I could do
Yeah.
that. I mean, I'd have to get up early.
Mhm.
Well, I get up early now.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I just think there's difference. And one of the things that came up in the forum that I thought was a good idea when we're talking about, teacher retention or why teachers are leaving, um, an exit that was brought up by one of the candidates to do an exit interview and find out why. Ask them. That's how because you can't fix what you don't know. I think that's an excellent idea.
It absolutely is an excellent
Find
idea.
out why the teacher, because right now people make assumption, low pay, bad kids, whatever, but we don't know, don't assume.
Yeah, you know what assume means.
No, yeah. ask them,
Break it
say,
down.
hey, why are you leaving? Especially when you've got good teachers.
I like
leaving.
that. Whoever came up with that one, I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Who was that?
It was Tanyetta.
Well,
Mhm.
good for
Excellent.
you.
Excellent idea. I think it's
Good for
absolutely
you.
excellent. Yeah. And one of the other things that stood out to me, and I think for personal reasons as well, that got brought up about the learning, and our test scores throughout the state are down. This is a fact. That's in every county. It's not just
Yeah, I
Onzo.
know.
I've talked to my friends. But COVID did a number, but I think this goes far beyond before COVID ever happened.
We got to have some kind of a recovery program.
But not every kid learns the same way.
Yeah.
And kids do have a variety of issues. Some kids have learning disabilities.
Mhm.
Some are just,
some are not proficient in things like math
or reading
or
anything,
English
yeah.
or whatever.
But some of it too is just because they're chronologically a certain age doesn't mean brain development wise they're at the age. So that's where learning disability comes in. Some kids, that have ADHD, for example, they struggle to learn, and some kids learn on different levels. Like some kids do better with verbal learning. Some do better with visual. So you can't put every kid in the category. And I think social emotional learning is crucial in the school system because it is important for the student has to learn on their own basis. You cannot take a class and teach the same way to every kid. It just doesn't work that way. And I can even say that even from when I was in school, I remember seeing kids and I knew how they learned differently. So this isn't a new thing.
When I became a freshman, for whatever reason, they said it was a mistake, but they put me. There were teachers, freshman English. Some teachers were remedial teachers.
Yeah.
Okay? Then there were the advanced classes. I got put into the remedial English class, of which made it fine for me for the first 3 months. I was like 100%.
Yeah.
I didn't study. I didn't need to do anything.
Yeah.
It was great. Easy.
Yeah. You're like, woo-hoo!
Easy, smooth sailing.
Yeah.
And then my teacher at the time, Mrs. Redford, she said, "You don't belong in my class." She moved me to the advanced class, which was like, holy crap.
Then you had to actually crack a book open. Right?
Lord of mercy. Yeah. And Mrs. Richardson, I think that was a later time. Anyway, I didn't, no.
Because everyone learns differently. And the other thing is, I know some of them want parents to be more involved. I agree, but understand, let me be honest about this.
Parents.
Not every parent is involved. There's not, there's a lot of super involved parents.
Yep.
My daughter is a very super hands-on involved parent.
And as is her mother.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Y'all know I was a super involved parent and a super involved Nana. But I know even from a counseling aspect, I see kids that are even coming to counseling, their parents aren't involved.
No.
And you can't force a parent to be involved. You can't. And are you going to punish the child?
Yes.
For
that's exactly what happens.
sins of the parent. Yeah, you can't do that. And I have had kids come to me for therapy that I knew immediately with it spending 5 minutes with them, they had probably less than that. They had ADHD, and I'd tell the parents, they meet all the criteria. They really need to go talk with your doctor to, think about some medication. And I knew that would benefit. The parents are like, no, we're not. Yes, sometimes kids are put on ADHD medicine, and I don't think they need it. And I've actually seen kids I don't think they need this. But I've also seen the other end of the spectrum where the child absolutely need it and the parent refuse. That's doing a disservice. The child is not going to be able to learn.
The doctor make that determination.
Yes, the doctor, they need to get with their pediatrician and say, let's evaluate this. But I also think too, teachers are dealing with a variety of mental health issues. And I do think they need the training. Kids have more anxiety these days. They are depressed.
No.
COVID did that too. But kids also come from homes. Some kids, sadly, are in abusive homes. They are in homes where there's maybe one parent that's never there because they're too busy trying to work to provide us food and shelter.
Where did I hear this 2 weeks ago today? It was in court.
Yeah. It happens. And some kids don't have home. We have homeless children here in Onslow County. So, I don't think anyone should have their head in the sand and think we're all going to just hold hands and sing Kumbaya and everything's going to be grand. Because sadly, unfortunately, it's not going to happen. And the teachers do have to do things other than just teach the basics. but they have to, and a lot of them are doing the best they can with what they have and what little training they have to deal with these other issues. But when you've got a kid that's being abused coming to school, one, that's their safe zone, but two, they might be not in the right frame of mind to be able to learn. So they have to be able to recognize, and I do agree that there needs to be more school counselors in there if the teacher spots something immediately, get that kid some help and then figure out how we're going to do this, because they're not going to learn if they're struggling.
It's
bottom
a kid
line.
you can save.
Yeah. Yes.
But that's what we need to work on now.
We need to recognize the bullying, and furthermore, these teachers, and they know who they are. There are some, they know the bullying's going on and they do nothing.
Well, they're afraid to do anything.
Yeah,
they're afraid
because
of the
administration,
kids.
they're afraid of the kids, and the administration all needs to unite as well. So but a bullied kid is not going to learn well because they're too busy trying to figure out how not to be bullied.
There you go.
So
okay, we're going to take a break, and Kelly is going to tell you just how cold it's going to be. It's going to be CWI cold. I'll tell you that tomorrow night. You're live and local, Real Talk, Freedom 97.1, 1120 AM, WSME. Yeah, just like Silo Service Center there. Think about them when I'm talking to about Tideline Marine. Does your outboard motor need servicing and oil change, or maybe filters replaced, a gas filter, fuel filter, and the oil filter? How about some gear lube, new gear lube, replacing that? Because it needs it. If it's been a year, it needs it. Perhaps a new impeller, a water pump impeller. This is a good time to get your motors that need routine servicing to Tideline Marine in Jacksonville. A new service plan is in action with routine maintenance taking only a matter of days instead of several weeks. Of course, if you have run issues, something other than routine servicing, the wait time is a wee bit longer, but it too has been speeded up. Before you put your boat up for the winter, here's a tip. You really should get it ready for next spring first. For goodness sakes, if you're thinking of waiting until next spring to fix some problems you've been having, don't do that. You'll get caught up in the long log jam, just like all the other folks who do the same thing. Tideline Marine, 159 Old Bridge Street on the banks of the New River in downtown Jacksonville. Winds today out of the southwest, 15 to 20, gusts to 25, seas 3 to 5. A little bit choppy out there. Dominant period 6 seconds. Sounds and rivers are choppy. Northwesterly winds tomorrow, 15 to 20, gust again to 25 knots, diminishing to 10 to 15 in the afternoon. Seas still 3 to 5. Wednesday, looking a little less worse. Seas 2 to 3 feet. Winds in the morning, 15 to 20 out of the north, becoming northwesterly, 10 to 15 in the afternoon.
Today, mostly cloudy, then gradually becoming sunny with a high of 81. It will be gusty today with gusts as high as 20 miles an hour. Tonight, a chance of showers and thunderstorm, about a 50% chance. Otherwise, partly cloudy, low of 51. And then tomorrow, woo, big difference from today. Sunny, a high of 63 with gusts as high as 15. So cold. It's gonna feel cold with the wind blowing too, because if it's gonna be 81 today and 63 tomorrow, that's a huge difference.
Yeah.
Tomorrow night, turn the heat on because
Build
the low
a fire
is 35.
in the fireplace.
Yes.
I think I'll start today. One is 81.
35. Lord have mercy. And then Wednesday, sunny, high of 61. And Wednesday night, clear, low of 36.
Hey, we got a few nights here. It's going to be kind of
It'll
bone
be
chilly
nippy.
cold.
Yes. My
Yeah.
dogs are going to be like, what's happening right now? Yeah.
They ain't going to go outside.
They're not, no, they'll stay where it's toasty. Yeah.
So read this little story. Guy wrote a letter. He said, I got my concealed gun permit yesterday. And wherever he lives, it's near a local bass pro shop. So I went over to the local Bass Pro Shop to get a small 9mm pistol for home protection. When I was ready to pay for the gun and the bullets that I got, the cashier said, strip down, facing me. Making a mental note to complain to the NRA about the gun control wackos running amok, I did just as she had instructed. When the hysterical shrieking and alarms finally subsided, I found out she was referring to how I should place my credit card in the card reader.
Oh, no.
I've been asked to stop to go elsewhere to shop in the future. They need to make their instructions to seniors a little clearer. I still don't think I look that bad.
That's too funny. Accurate.
See, that one you like.
That would be. Yeah, that one was pretty
cool.
good. Look, y'all,
good.
Sometimes Rayford sends me these jokes, and they are
stuff,
awful and horrific.
I thought it was good.
And he thinks they're funny, and trust me, a lot of them are just, they're not. So that one was pretty good, Rayford.
Good.
You did pretty good on that one.
Strip down, facing me. Ooh.
Yeah.
2 people were killed in a weekend fire near Snow Hill. That's up there in Greene County. Happened about 11 o'clock Saturday night. Neighbors called 911 saying they heard loud popping sounds coming from the home. They went outside and the house was fully engulfed in flames, and that's how firefighters found it.
Oh my.
The firemen managed to put the fire out, but had to return Sunday morning when it flared up again. Happens a lot.
It does, yeah.
Investigators with the State Bureau of Investigation and the State Fire Marshal's Office are investigating.
Well, something we have not talked about is that road rage incident in Florida.
Which one?
Where the 2 dads shot each other's daughters.
Yeah.
Oh, what a total nightmare. I mean,
there are 2 people that don't ever should have a gun.
You know what they look like? That's them.
Yeah, well, they're bald and dumb.
So yeah, they were on Highway 1. William Hale and Frank Allison were driving erratically, brake checking each other. At one point, Mr. Hale pulled up next to Allison, whose wife, I guess Allison's wife, gave him the finger. So then Hale threw a water bottle back at the car, childish. Um, so the Allison then began firing shots from a handgun, and he hit Mr. Hale's 5-year-old daughter in the leg. So Hale shot back with his gun and hit Allison's 14-year-old daughter in the back and collapsed her lung.
You know,
I mean, what
idiots.
is
Both
happening?
of you are idiots.
Yeah.
Road rage is ridiculous.
Yeah.
You know, if you're of that mindset, leave your gun at home.
Mhm.
Okay, just don't even carry your gun with you.
Yeah.
If you're that childish and that immature
Mhm.
and that stupid, that reckless, you got kids in your car,
Got
you're
kids in
shooting
your
at
car,
another car with a
yes.
kid in it.
Yeah.
You got your wife in the car.
Yeah.
You don't have a right any
No.
longer to have a gun.
It's just
Done.
crazy stuff. And they were both arrested. And
Good.
they were actually both charged with second-degree attempted murder.
Good.
And they each made $150,000 bond. They were released. Both.
Good.
Of
I
them.
hope it. I would have had that bond should have been in cash.
I mean, this is so disturbing for so many reasons. The biggest thing is these two men were firing guns with their children in the car.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a
You
problem
don't
with the
have.
whole thing,
You don't
but
deserve
definitely
a
with
kid
that.
either.
I mean, they're lucky these kids weren't killed.
Yes.
Bottom line. Bottom
How do
line.
you go home once you get out on bail?
And no, and I acted a fool and
How
got
do you
my
go
daughter
home
shot.
and say, honey, I'm here, and bring little Sally out here and
Yeah.
let's talk.
Sorry, baby, I don't know how to act and got you shot. Yeah. Yeah. If I were the wife of that one
Be
guy,
done.
I would have fought him in the front seat. You know what I mean? Like
Oh,
that would
yeah.
have been. This wouldn't have even escalated to that point, though.
No, stop, get
yeah.
away.
I would have been like, the kids are in the car.
What can you
know,
do in a
yeah.
case like that? There are keys over there in the ignition.
I'd have reached over and turned it off.
Turned it off and take the key.
Yeah.
He'll come to a stop.
Yes. I mean, this is just so. I mean, I wish I could say I'm surprised it was Florida, but I truly am not. After all the dumb crook news I do, I mean, I'm
see
not
it
shocked.
everywhere. You see
But
it
this could have
everywhere.
been other people driving by could have been hit too. I mean, oh my God, yeah.
It's disgusting that so-called adults act like they do.
I agree.
They're not adults
agree.
anymore.
And here's the thing:
age is not a determining factor in getting a gun.
No.
Maturity, responsibility.
But the other thing is, for all the people that want to ban guns, this doesn't help.
No.
This fuels their argument.
Oh,
basically.
absolutely.
I
It
mean,
does.
come on. So I just it's awful, and I'm just
ban crooks.
Yeah.
You don't have to ban guns. Ban idiots, not guns. And these two are two idiots that need to be banned from ever owning a gun.
I agree. And we got to take a break.
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
You're live in local Real Talk, 910-333-0139. We'll be right back. And we're back. Want to chat about anything this morning? 910-333-0139. Let's go to Virginia.
Yeah.
Oh
it's-
my goodness gracious.
I can't believe you
the
had not
headline
heard
I just
this.
read. I
Uh-huh.
didn't pay that much attention to news this
It
weekend.
came out Friday.
I
I
just,
heard it when I
you
went
know,
home to mom's.
in
They
fact,
were talking about
Friday
it.
when I left the show, I didn't. Our
Mhm.
computer goes dead.
Yeah.
I didn't turn it on till sometime
Mhm.
Saturday evening. I think it
Yeah.
was Saturday afternoon. Late.
I had a bunch of friends because my hometown's right on the border of Virginia.
Yeah,
so
I
that
know.
they
There, but
yeah,
for the grace of God,
yeah.
could have been you.
They were talking about this, and I was like, how did I not hear this? Yeah.
Mhm.
So this Virginia Democrat is planning to introduce a bill to prosecute
State legislature.
to prosecute parents who refuse to treat child as the opposite sex. In other words, she's a Democratic delegate. I don't know what I don't know how Virginia's system is set up. Yeah, I don't. Yeah, her name is Elizabeth Guzman, but she wants to introduce legislation that will hold parents criminally liable for refusing to treat their children as a different sex from the one they were born into.
If the child
Mhm.
desires to be,
So if a child says,
a
if
girl
they're
wants to be a
female,
boy,
they say, like, I'm a boy,
yeah,
and they're
and
so
then she wants it to be a
Char-
law
yeah,
to
charge
arrest
them with
them.
child abuse, charged with a felony, or occasionally a misdemeanor for refusing to honor their child's request.
Even her fellow Democrats are not that stupid.
I would hope not. I mean,
That
these-
she's got to be just one of a kind.
Well,
Thank God.
Well, what brought this about? They want it gets better. So not only would the parents be charged, they want CPS to come and get involved, and that could involve removing the
Child
children from the
protective.
home. Yeah, that's what they said. To just remove all the children from the house.
Idiot, you're not going anywhere with that.
Where are you
one.
gonna put these kids?
Even if you get a second,
We have a foster
Even if you-
child short, a foster home shortage.
yeah.
What in this nation? People just can't. They get dumber by the day.
Yeah, Talked about Governor DeSantis earlier a little bit. He's been accused now by several media outlets of
Okay.
politicizing voter access. He eased restrictions in the counties most heavily affected by Hurricane Ian on Thursday. DeSantis signed an emergency executive order that expanded mail-in ballot access and early voting availability to counties that were heavily damaged by the Category 4's hurricane. According to the order, the decision primarily focused on Charlotte, Lee, and Sarasota counties. They're on the west coast of Florida. That's where the storm came in, okay? After collective feedback of the supervisors of elections across the state and at the written request of these counties' election supervisors. He did that because the elections supervisors, you need to do this because a lot of people have been displaced. A lot of people don't have a home
Correct.
where they lived. They ain't there anymore. They live in other counties right now. But you need to make it easier and for early voting and for those who want to do it by mail. Okay? And that's what he did at their request. Now,
What are they mad about?
because they say he's doing it because those counties are mostly Republican.
Oh my word!
Yeah, I know. Those people who criticize somebody like that for being politicizing a situation, are politicizing a situation.
Yes, I mean,
Gosh.
Lord. Well, let me tell you, that's unbelievable, and it's wrong. I mean, he's just trying to make it easy for the ones that don't have anything.
Yeah, in those counties. Yeah.
So
some reporter for the
dumb.
Washington, let's see, which paper was it? Washington Post reporter, female there. She wrote that more than 450,000 voters in Lee, Charlotte, and Sarasota are registered as Republicans, compared to 265,000 as Democrats and another 290,000 with no party, unaffiliated. Overall, registered Republicans outnumber Democrats in many, but not all of the counties damaged by the hurricane. Orange County, where Hurricane Ian passed as a Category 1 storm and left historic flooding in Orlando and surrounding areas, has 360,000 registered Democrats, 217,000 registered Republicans. It was not granted any exceptions. Let me think. Flooding, historic flooding. Is that the same thing as having your home washed out into the Gulf of Mexico or just totally demolished? You can't live in it?
Yeah.
Is that the same thing?
Yeah.
No. Historic flooding, unless it's going to be and it's going to be isolated where the homes were destroyed or
Right.
in the Orlando area, Orange
Oh,
County.
well, okay. I see what you're
So
saying. Yeah. I mean, it's going to be
that did-
isolated. That's not going to be,
the
but
Board of Elections.
that's going to be certain populations.
You got to
but-
understand the Board of Elections in those counties that are heavily Democrats are going to be run by Democrats. They
Mhm.
didn't request this. They didn't request any additional stuff.
Mhm.
How stupid are
Well,
reporters?
maybe because they feel like it's just a
It's not
certain
that
small
big a deal.
population, but the west coast of Florida was just.
yeah,
I know
the
people
southwestern
that
part.
actually live in Fort Myers. There is
Oh, man.
nothing there.
Yeah.
I know somebody that lost everything they had.
Yeah.
Everything. They have nothing now except what they had with them.
If you don't have
Mhm.
a Board of Elections in a county that's controlled by the Democrats, the Board of Elections is controlled by the Democrats because the Democrats outnumber the Republicans there, and they didn't request any additional anything.
Mm.
Why would you look at them and say, "Oh, you Orange County, you need it too"? No. What a bunch of hypocrites! You're live in local real
Mhm.
talk. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back live in local Real Talk, Freedom 97.1, 1120 AM WSME. Our number, if you want to chat with us this morning, is 910-333-0139.
Yes.
Give us a ring a dingy.
Mhm.
Love to hear from you.
What?
Saudi Arabia's, oh my goodness gracious. Saudi Arabia's defense minister, he's astonished by accusations that the Saudis are aligned with Russia because Saudi Arabia, cut back on its oil
Mhm.
production.
Mhm.
And they said that's just putting you in bed with the Russians. Some allegations are. And they said, no. We don't like the Russians.
Mhm.
We just want to produce less oil and raise
Yeah.
the prices, get
Yeah.
more money for less.
Correct. Yeah.
That's what they say.
Yeah. I probably do believe that.
I do believe it.
They got to maintain that lavish lifestyle.
I don't think that they really care about, let's work less, get more money for it. Duh.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
That's just kind of like the
that.
typical American.
Mm-hmm. Well,
oh.
They're doing dumb things in LA too. We haven't talked about this at all either, and I'm really surprised. Last week I just kept wanting to, but then we had other things come up. That LA City Council, Rayford.
Oh,
what?
good
Now
gracious.
they are bumbling boobs, and I don't know how many of you guys heard. The public got mad as heck, which I don't blame them, and recordings were leaked of 3 council members and a labor leader making racist remarks about
how stupid can
come
you be
on.
in a public session?
So the one of them is taking a leave of absence, and yeah, because her name is Councilwoman Nuri Martinez. She represents San Fernando Valley area. So she said, "This has been one of the most difficult times of my life, and I recognize this is entirely my own making. At this moment, I need to take a leave of absence and take some time to have an honest and heartfelt conversation with my family, my constituents, and community leaders." Now, let me tell you what she did. It was her, council members Kevin De Leon and Jill Cedillo, and there was one more. There was 4 of them total, but anyway. The Los Angeles County Federation of Labor president, Ron Herrera, he resigned.
Should have.
He did resign from his post. I don't know what a labor president is from the county of LA, but anyway. So what happened was they were, somebody recorded them talking, whatever. And they leaked it. So one of the Republican councilmen, his name is Mike Bonin. He's white, but his son is black. They were mocking him. They were mocking the son, and I can't read. I will not read all this that they called this
thank
kid.
You.
But I'll just say the one thing I will read. They called him. They said that he treated his child like an accessory. And I'm not going to say the other 2 things because it is offensive. About this kid, and then they called that man a little B.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's a Republican, and he lost his mind when he heard this because apparently he's very close to his son. Yeah. Then they were also this lady, this Martinez, was made fun. Now remember, she's Hispanic, she's Mexican, but she was making fun of the Mexican from I can't say this. Probably I don't know how to pronounce it. Oaxaca. I don't know. It's a province in Mexico, but they're like very indigenous. You know what I mean? So they're like mountainous, indigenous, and she was making fun of them,
like hillbillies.
Yeah, kind of like that. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is
and
a
she called them,
thing.
and then she also called them ugly. So and then oh, hold up. Yeah. Yeah, she was talking again. They just don't like this Mike guy at all. I'm reading other things. Yeah. So anyway, the public got wind of this, and they had a city council meeting, and they held a protest. It was bad, which can't blame them.
Good.
Yeah. What a hot mess this is.
Why can't we have some fun and excitement like that here in Jacksonville? Because we got
people know how to act.
Because we got sane people here.
They know how to act. And Rayford, I know you love the governor of California so much. Well, this weekend as
Yeah,
well, when
buddy.
I was home, people were talking about, once again, I really probably need to read the news a little more. Do you know he's considering a run for president?
Yes.
How did I not know this? We haven't
'cause-
talked
'cause
about
he
it.
ain't going nowhere with it.
Surely, well, the Californians hate him. What makes him think the American public would vote for this guy? I will say though, on my drive, I thought about you. On my drive
Oh,
to
God.
Mom's this weekend, I saw quite a few DeSantis for president signs
Oh, they're
already
everywhere.
up.
They're already
Yeah.
out there.
I
Yes.
saw them,
Yep.
and I thought about you. I was
There's a
like,
faction out there.
yeah, there is, and they're printing up signs and putting them out.
And there are a lot of anti-Trump
Mhm.
Republicans out there that want to make sure that their message is
Well, I
heard
saw
loud
some
and
Trump
clear.
2024
Yeah, well,
signs
you're
too,
going to have
but
that.
but the DeSantis one, that's the first I had seen of that. I haven't seen any around here.
Hmm.
But yeah, wild.
Yep, it is. All right, let's take a break. 910-333-0139. Want to chat? Now is your chance to get in line. Hopefully, there'll be about 14 of you waiting when we come back. You're live and local, Real Talk, Freedom 97.1, 1120 a.m., WSME. Fox News is now. We'll be back in 60 seconds. All right, time to make you mad. Get you upset.
No, no.
Get you up in an uproar. I am guilty as charged, Your Honor. That's what 31-year-old Ashley Ryson, a female employee at New Miami High School in Ohio, did in court last week. She admitted that as a high school teacher's assistant and softball coach, she had a sexual relationship with a 17-year-old student and then begged the student not to call the authorities. It happened on 8 different occasions in 1 month last year. 8 times she got it on with this kid.
And the kid recorded their conversations. I did read about that. I read it this morning, actually. Yeah.
She pleaded guilty. She faces up to 5 years in prison. She'll be sentenced next month. Oh my,
Really?
31 years old.
You can't
She
find a
wasn't
grown
ugly.
man.
She was not
she wasn't ugly. But
What's the problem?
I don't know.
How many other kids has she done this with?
I don't know.
You think that's new?
Well, I guess
She's
we'll
been in the
find
system
out
since 2015.
if others see this story and come forward.
Well,
Yeah.
they're all going to see it. I
Yeah.
just don't know how many will come forward.
Yeah. Might be a little more difficult to prove. This kid recorded conversations between her and him.
Which I don't
With her
understand
telling
either.
him-
He's 17 years old.
Mhm.
Now, let's go to a bunch of dim-witted teenagers. In 8
Okay.
different locations in at least 4 cities in England, teenagers decided to make an environmental statement.
Okay.
How? They went to the grocery stores and poured all the milk in the container, the refrigerators, on the floor. They dumped it out on the floors. Their misguided reason?
Mhm.
To bring attention to what they call dairy production emissions. They call their stupid acts of rebellion milk pours. Dairy production emissions.
Mhm.
You know what that is?
Mm-mm.
Cows producing gas.
Oh, geez. Okay.
The new witless mischief involves going into grocery stores, picking up cartons of cow-produced milk, and pouring out their contents, according to the animal rights group Animal Rebellion.
I never heard of
What
that
are you
group.
supposed to do with it?
Yeah. I've never heard of that group, but okay.
Oh, my heavens.
Oh.
More than half of the folks in a Fox News poll conducted, I guess, I'm not sure, last week before, feel that America is headed towards socialism. We've talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
There are more and more socialist thinking people out there. They don't know what socialism is. They've never been to Venezuela. They've never lived in a socialist country.
Correct. Yeah.
Apparently, they don't even know, they don't study history.
Mm-hmm.
Thank God that 60% of those polled think that's a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
52% feel that the government should lend them a helping hand. 52% of the people surveyed said, "Oh, Mr. President, I need some help. Help me out." From those numbers, it's certainly apparent that the Biden bailout plan has made Americans grateful for free money, even if it's at the expense of other Americans who are working for a living. Now, when it comes down to political views or orientation, 69% of those who want handouts are Democrats.
Okay.
Interesting. More than twice as many Republicans as Democrats want the government to stay out of their business. Just leave us alone. The results may indicate that Americans look at the economy as the most pressing issue facing the country. No kidding. In recent polls, 78% said just that. The problem is that no one, especially those in charge of the country, seem to have any viable, realistic plan to fix this inflation problem. Giving away money, taking from the rich to give to the poor, neither is realistic, except to those who don't seem to want to work for a living.
Yeah.
And with the increasing socialism rhetoric coming from the likes of AOC, Bernie, and other jerks on the squad, more and more people like me are getting really, really fed up. Socialism is not good.
No, it's not. Not at all.
Show me a place that is good.
I just want to see how many. I can't believe the number of people that don't understand.
They don't
the whole
know what
concept of it.
socialism is.
Yeah.
They're ignoring it.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. And I'm just really ticked off with it.
Well, I think some of the shortages that we're having now is an experiment and see how socialism
Well, it
would be
is.
accepted.
It is.
And people don't understand that. Yeah.
With inflation at an all-time record high, okay?
Mm-hmm.
With the price of gasoline heading up again, we had a little short time there. It started coming down. With anticipated increasing prices for heating oil and electrical power this winter, Biden's economic team has an idea they say will help fight inflation. You ready? We're going to get tax credits, you and I. We're going to get tax credits to help us winterize our homes, therefore to save money on heating bills. You know what tax credits mean? Do you have any idea how that works? If we sign up for solar energy, that's their goal.
Right.
If we sign up for solar energy and invest lots of money towards that project, because it's going to cost us money. I don't care if they tell you you're going to get it for free. It's going to cost us lots of money for the equipment that continues to increase in price because of inflation. Then the government will allow us to take a small percentage of the cost when we file our income tax returns.
Right.
Is that what I'm hearing? Yep, that's exactly what I'm hearing. There you go buy $10,000 worth of solar panels to put on your home with the contractor providing that, and they're going to give you a tax rate on that $10,000 of like, 5%, 8%. 8% tax cut, tax break when you file your income taxes for 2022. Really? What's that going to do for you?
Right.
How's that going to bring inflation down? It's going to cost you more money. You're going to be out $10,000 minus whatever the tax credit is.
Yeah.
Am I just one of, if I'm alone in this, or am I one of a growing number of Americans that prefers the government leaves me alone? Apparently, there are a growing number of them.
Yeah.
Of my kind. It's, you cannot fix stupid. You can kill it, but you can't fix it.
Yeah.
And we've got a government that is so out of control because the government that we have, the government leaders we have now have never worked in business. They've never been in business on their own. Who has? Biden? No. He's been feeding off a public trough as an elected whatever forever. Still feeding off of it. He's never had to run a business. He set his son up to run businesses by using his political influence.
Mm-hmm.
That's where he's reaping his benefits. He doesn't know how to run a business. Nothing he's getting,
I agree with that.
nothing he's getting has come without selling this country down straight to hell.
But I also think too that this is the
It's
fact
a
that
plan.
you're saying that a lot of these people don't know anything about business or whatever. I think it because they're too this is why the argument for term limits is such a good one, and that actually came up in our one of the forums about term limits for here locally. But I'm all for them. I think 3 max, and that's 3 max. That's all you should be able to do. I don't think our founding fathers, when they founded the country, ever intended being in government to be, whether it's local or state or federal, to be a career.
Nope.
We
got people on local boards, whether it's the county commission, whether it's the board of education, a city council, whatever it is. We got people on that's not just Jacksonville and Onslow County, that's surrounding counties as well. We got people in the state legislature that shouldn't be there. They've been in there way too long. We've got people on the Holly Ridge City Council, Town Council, that have been there way too long. And it became very obvious last week. I've got some audio of that meeting last week.
Oh, good. I was going to ask you about that.
Oh, I got audio.
Yeah. Okay.
I haven't put it all together yet, but I got audio. And I talked with this individual the day before or the night before the town meeting last week. Well, maybe we won't even approve it or discuss. Well, he was the first one to make a motion and right out of the chute. He was not honest with me, even when he talked with me.
That's interesting.
I'm surprised, amazed, and dismayed. No, I'm not. It goes without saying. It's the reason I called him. See if I could feel him out a little bit. Nope. No.
That's just sad. And if you're going to be dishonest about that, what else are you dishonest about?
Everything.
Well, that would be my first question. Yeah. But I think term limits are important.
Yeah, they are.
And I fully believe them. Like I said, if the top person in the nation has to have a term limit, why can't other offices?
Absolutely. The only offices that I disagree with.
Well, I agree with the sheriff.
The district attorney, the sheriff, the clerk of court, the register of deeds. There was one more I had, but anyway, those are professional groups.
Yes. I don't think they
happen to be elected. And that it allows us, we the people, to take them out as we see fit.
Let me tell you, I think judges should have term limits.
I'm beginning to lean in that direction a lot more.
Yeah, me too. After I'm hearing stories about some Onslow judges, yes.
Good morning, Steve. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are y'all this morning?
We're hanging in here.
Yep.
I'm about to get familiar with your telephone number.
My goodness, y'all have covered so many different topics this morning. Where to start?
Well, here's how I started this morning. It was with a jingle, 30 seconds long.
Yeah.
I heard that.
We love that jingle. Yeah.
It is so
Thank
cool.
you guys so much. I told me and my wife were sitting there. I took her to work this morning. I told her, I said, I'm so excited. The first jingle I ever wrote, they took it and they used it.
Absolutely. It's just as cute as it can be.
I love it. Yep.
I like to get the day started in a good way as often as I can.
I like it. Yeah.
I got you. Oh, well, let me go ahead and ruffle your feathers.
Go ahead. I've already ruffled my own. Go ahead.
I got you. The first thing I heard this morning was about DeSantis and him, altering the voting to accommodate for extenuating circumstances. And
at the
I agree
request,
with that 100%.
At the request of the boards of elections.
Right. But I agree with that 100%. The only thing that kind of sticks out to me is that's kind of the same thing that the governors did during 2020 when they extended the amount of time they could count mail-in ballots and such like that because of COVID and the enormous amount of mail-in ballots they got, compared to a normal year.
Yeah.
The Donald Trump's campaign and the Republican Party supporting it sued all those governors and said they were not allowed to change the voting regulations, that the state legislature had to do it. So to me, what I see is once again, is that for the Republicans, it's okay when they do it, but if it don't benefit them, then it's not okay, which is an obvious hypocrisy. He should have done what he did. He did the right thing, but the problem is they were totally against that when they didn't think it was in their favor.
You mean Trump was against it?
Well, Trump and it was supported by the Republican Party. There's still Republicans to this day that will say the problem with the 2020 election was there was some irregularities, and like the one case they won was in Pennsylvania where the governor signed an executive order extending the amount of time they could count the votes. They won that case, but it didn't change anything as far as the vote.
Yeah.
But they also filed suit in North Carolina because Roy Cooper did the exact same thing. But as soon as it came out that Donald Trump won, they dropped their suit.
Yeah.
So that would be my only thing about that is what he's doing now is the right thing, but it is an obvious hypocrisy to what they stated 2 years ago.
An across the board extension for the pandemic, which, that did not displace people from their homes. Okay. The election was coming up. This election is pretty close with that hurricane hit, right? It's right around the corner. Mm-hmm. That pandemic was going on and on and on and on. I can see no reason. I can say there are probably lots of excuses. I cannot see a reason to extend the voting times, the counting ballots times, or anything else, unless a county or even a state or a location was extremely hard hit and you couldn't get enough people in to work to count the ballots. That I can understand. You could request special permission, as did the counties of Lee, Charlotte, and Sanford, or whatever it was in Florida.
I understand that. But what you're doing is you're kind of splitting hairs. You extenuating circumstances are extenuating circumstances, and the people who are in charge are the ones that have to make the call on what they consider an extenuating circumstance.
I just said my personal...
And a major...
Yeah.
Right. And a major pandemic where they had, physically they could see that they had a lot more mail-in ballots than they would normally have. Mm-hmm. In Pennsylvania specifically, they're not allowed to even open or sort those ballots until the polls close on voting day.
They cannot do it anywhere legally.
Right. So that, anybody logistically could look at it and say, hey, they're going to need more time to count these ballots. My thing to that is that once a U.S. citizen has cast their ballot and turned that over to the government, shouldn't it be the government's obligation to make sure that vote's counted? It don't matter how long it takes. It don't make that sense that if the people counting them can't count them by the deadline, that now your vote don't count.
Yeah, if it's a situation of an act of nature, an act of God, an act of war, or some extenuating circumstances that they cannot physically do it, then yes, there should be an extension available to them. But I don't think an across the board extension would have been. In other words, for the entire state of Florida, if Governor DeSantis had said, we're just going to extend this for all of Florida. No, why? Because all of Florida wasn't affected. I'd be like doing it for North Carolina where only the coast is affected.
Right. Agreed. But like I say, it does show a flip-flop on the argument that they made 2 years ago.
Okay.
I don't disagree with what he done. That's what should be done. Like I say, in my opinion, you should count the votes no matter what. I don't understand how if they can be a deadline that can nullify legally cast votes. Yeah. But anyway, that's that one.
Okay, go ahead.
That was that topic. Next topic is the Saudis raising the price of oil. I think the reason they're doing it is because they know they're putting America and the American administration over, pardon the pun, a barrel.
Yeah.
By doing it. Right now they've got a big bargaining chip to try and get Joe Biden to give them something or to negotiate him, because they know the American administration don't want the price of gas going up right now.
But he's not negotiating with Saudi. That was a stupid move. He's negotiating with our enemies like Venezuela and Russia. Hello. Come on. Oh, God.
I get it, but I'm trying to say what the motivation I believe the Saudis have behind it. They just lowered or increased production to lower the price of oil about a month or so ago, and now they turn right back around and they go, okay, well now we're going to reduce production and cause the price of gas go back up. Yeah, that's just funny in itself.
It's ridiculous. The whole thing's ridiculous. And they got,
Well,
you were right, they got us over a barrel.
well, that's where we're dependent on foreign oil, and you know, that's an interesting situation, because if we solely relied on a domestic oil production, gas prices would be quite a bit higher. It costs more to pump oil out the ground here than it does to pump it out the ground in Saudi Arabia and ship it here.
Then how
So-
come we can ship it, export it out of here and make money on it?
Well, we export it out of here, and anywhere you sell it, you get money for it. You know, you get the price of what oil is. If I looked into it, the main reason why Joe Biden sent that oil out of the country is because all of our refineries are running at 100%. Putting more oil on the ground at those refineries is not going to increase the production of gasoline or diesel fuel.
Then what we need to do is to keep it in reserves.
Well, if you put it on the market, it don't matter where you put it on the market, it drives the price down. It's a world market. So it don't matter where you inject it at, but you have to inject it in a place that can process it.
Okay.
And what our problem is that over the last 4 or 5 years, we had one refinery that closed down due to fire damage. We had one that they shut down on purpose because it was outdated, I guess, or whatever. But we've had 2 refineries that have shut down in the last 5 years, which has drastically decreased our ability to produce gasoline.
Mm-hmm.
And that factors into it as well.
Well, we don't seem to have a shortage of gasoline. It's just it costs more.
Well, I would say that maybe
people are not driving any less. They're still driving.
They are, but like when gas shot up to $4 and something a gallon, the amount of driving people were doing was reduced. People didn't drive quite as much. Consumption was lowered a little bit, and that's kind of what they do when they raise those prices. Is they're trying to keep it where they have gas. But anyway, that was the Saudi Arabia thing.
Steve, I appreciate it, sir.
Yeah, I was gonna say I had the third one was the socialist countries, you know, and if you Google it and you look up socialist countries that have succeeded, you're gonna pull up a lot of them. Like, and what they are is they're democratic socialist countries. You've got Ireland, you've got Spain, you've got many of them, and the United States is even one, because any country that has welfare programs and social programs is by definition, partly socialist.
Yep, you're right there.
You know, so I would say that, you know, we all believe in socialism. It's just how much, how far we want to go down that road. You know, y'all also believe in socialism because you want everybody who's on disability to get food stamps. I agree with that.
Yeah.
But that's a socialist program.
It is.
You know, and
it's a righteous program, though.
It is.
But for people who are
I'm not disputing that.
But for people who willingly do not want to work and they want to still get money, that doesn't count. I'm not supporting that.
I get that, and there's an argument to be made for that. But what I'm trying to say is that your stance is so against socialism of any kind.
I didn't say that.
Is right, but that's.
Your
stance against socialism is in contrast to your.
I've never said that. We have to take care as good Christian people. We have to take care of certain individuals who cannot, through no fault of their own, take care of themselves.
Right, and that's where I say, you know, be open to, you know, certain aspects of socialism, because, you know, we want it. We have Social Security. You know, I mean,
whoa. I paid into that. Those are the other guys coming across the border illegally. They're getting Social Security and they haven't paid into
it. Correct, man. But I mean, Social Security doesn't really work that way. You pay into it.
I still pay into it. It's not like your money. I'm 74 years old.
It's not like your money's sitting there.
Right. I'm still paying into it.
The way it works is once you start collecting Social Security, the younger people are the ones that are paying that Social Security. It's not like a bank account where your money's gone in there and sitting there in an account.
They've got an investment in the future.
It's an investment in your future. It's not a bank account where it's your money sitting there.
Nope, wish it was. I'd be rich.
But that's what makes it an actual social program and not a bank account.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, got to run.
But like I say, socialism isn't all evil. It's just that we don't want to be completely socialist. And when you talk about Venezuela, you're talking about socialism where the government was absolutely and totally corrupt.
Absolutely.
So that really isn't a fair.
And how far away
comparison
could we be from our totally corrupt government? We find out a lot more every day about aspects of our government.
We do, but that's like you said before. That's on us.
It
voters.
Is on us.
You know what I mean? It's not. We choose these people, and I will say that there has been a change in politics from the extremes on both sides, where people who act with honor and integrity don't seem to be getting traction anymore.
There you go. You're right. Thank you, Steve.
Yeah. You guys have a great day.
Right, you too. Thanks. And we have another caller. Good morning. Who's this?
This is Louis.
Hey, Louis. Can you hold on while we do weather?
I can.
All right. Thank you. You're live and local Real Talk. Don't go away. We'll be right back. If you got an outboard motor, does it need servicing, like an oil change, or filters replaced, gear lube, and perhaps a new impeller? Well, guess what? This is a perfect time to get your motors that need routine servicing to Tideline Marine in Jacksonville. A new service plan is in action. Routine maintenance, taking only a matter of days instead of having to wait in line for several weeks. If you have run issues, in other words, your motor's having just not running right or it's not running at all, something other than routine service, that's going to still take some time to do. You got to be analyzed and figure out what the problem is. But even that has speeded up. Before you put your boat up for the winter, the upcoming winter, if you don't use it during the winter time, you really should get it ready for next spring first. For goodness sakes, if you're thinking of waiting until next spring to fix some of the problems you've been having all along, don't do that. You'll only get caught up in the log jam that, just like everybody else who will be doing the same thing. Tideline Marine, 159 Old Bridge Street on the banks of the New River in downtown Jacksonville. Winds out of the southwest today, a little bit breezy, 15 to 20, gust to 25, seas 3 to 5, dominant period 6 seconds, sounds and rivers choppy. Tomorrow, northwesterly winds 15 to 20, gust to 25, diminishing to 10 to 15 in the afternoon, 3 to 5 footers. And on Wednesday, northerly winds 15 to 20, becoming northwesterly 10 to 15 in the afternoon, seas 2 to 4 feet.
Today, mostly cloudy, then becoming sunny, but it's already sunny. I'm looking
Yeah,
outside.
I
So,
see it.
who wrote this? High of 81. Gusty today with gusts as high as 20 miles an hour. Tonight, looks like we have a 50% chance of some kind of precipitation.
Mhm.
Low of 51. Then tomorrow, sunny, high of 63. Gusty winds as high as 15 miles an hour. And tomorrow night, cold, low of 35.
Some kind of precipitation. It's going to be rain.
It's going to be
It
rain.
won't be snow.
Oh, I was thinking, this is showers or thunderstorms. I should have
I
clarified.
got you.
Yeah.
There
Oh,
you
no,
go.
it ain't going to be snow.
Hey, Louie, you're back. We're back. Are you still there?
I'm still here.
Hey, appreciate it.
I wanted to make a comment on something about this bipartisan voting. I've heard, y'all talk about it before.
Okay.
But I want people to understand, whenever you vote for a person, you're not voting for that person. You're voting for that person's party. If a person is running for a Democrat or they're running as a Republican, what they're telling you is they agree with what that party's agenda is. And I'm telling y'all, the Democrats' party they're out for your children now. They're targeting your children through this race theory mess. They're targeting your children through this transgender equality act that Harris keeps pushing. So, whenever, like I said, the Democrats is out of control.
Did you see?
They've always wanted one thing, and they got one agenda, and that's big government.
Did you
They
hear?
want the government to control every area of your life.
Louis, did
Go
you
ahead,
hear?
I'm sorry.
Did you hear Kelly earlier in the show talk about a proposed piece of legislation in Virginia where it would be a felony for a child abuse felony for any parent not to encourage or recognize their kid who decides that, even though born a boy, wants to be a girl. It would be a felony and the kids would be taken away.
Right. Yeah. That's what I'm talking about. They're out of control.
That's out of control.
And see what they know. Your children are the future. If they destroy your children while they're young, they'll control their future.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll always have the power. You go changing a child's start redoing their body parts, it destroys them forever. They're done.
Yep.
So, yeah, I mean, and then another thing about Trump, I've heard people talk about how Trump has caused so much chaos whenever he was in amongst the Republicans and the Democrats. Most people don't understand what Trump did. When Trump opened up them oil lines, do you know how much for us to open up our resources that God gave us? Do you know how much money was lost on people that had investments in imported oils? I mean, how many of them congressmen and senators, the Republicans and Democrats, how many of them you reckon got investments in imported oil?
All of them.
And then Trump just killed it on them and gave it all to us. He took it away from them and gave it to us. And then he turned around and cut the taxes in half to where we were paying 40 cents, basically 40 cents on every dollar to the government. We started paying 20 cents on every dollar. And then so what did he do? He took their money away again and gave it back to us. And he showed the government can be ran on what they were getting with the 20%. But what did Nancy Pelosi say? She said, we will get this money back.
Yep.
And look what Biden has done since he's been in.
They're getting it
he
back.
took us back to where Obama was, and then even further.
Yeah.
They took millions and millions of people quit their jobs in the name of COVID to go get that $600 a week. People that continued to work to make the country to prosper, it was like we got punished for continuing to work.
Yep.
But then you had millions of people that didn't even have a job. You couldn't drag them out there and beat them and make them work. Went and got that check, $600 a week.
And
so now everybody got plenty of money to spend, buying up everything, and nobody working to produce nothing. Got demand and supply off balance and drove inflation through the roof.
You're right.
But,
that's a pretty good analysis.
Yeah.
But I also think, though, too, that not every person, just because of the party, votes what their party wants.
No,
Manchin's a big.
You can't go against your party's agenda. If you go against your party's agenda, they're going to go against you.
Well, that's
so if
true.
If somebody is telling you that, hey, I'm going to run for a Democrat, as a Democrat, then what they're agree with what the Democrats are doing. And I don't see why anybody could agree with it. But I don't,
Well,
I have listened to a lot of people, a lot of people that don't work now, that don't have a job. They're getting a check. They don't want it then. That's why they hated Trump. They thought Trump, and they hate Republicans. They think that Republicans are out to take their little check away and make them go back to work.
Well, I've been a Republican my entire life, and I'm 53. Okay. I was raised in a Republican household. When I first registered to vote, 18, but I'm here to tell you, there's some Republicans I don't like, and I don't think they're good. And, and I personally think I have changed how I vote. I used to just vote straight. They had an R, but I'm not going to do that now. I'm definitely not going to do that this election. I vote for what a person says they're going to do and what their ideals are. Or I'm just not going to vote for somebody. But I think we learned in the last election, simply voting for somebody, even locally, because of the letter behind their name, is not always a good thing. Bottom line. And I think the school board situation proved that.
Oh, prime example.
Yeah. I want to know. And
I don't see too many Republicans trying to attack the kids. Trying to get the kids to destroy them.
Well.
And it's like I said. I mean, you got bad on each side, but you got the agenda, the overall agenda. The Republicans' their main agenda is supposed to be, and always has supposed to have always been, is to conserve the rights of the citizens against abusive and excessive regulations and taxations. But our Republican elected officials, a lot of them might come in with the mindset, I'm going to try to help and do good, but then they get in and they see, this benefits my office. I don't want it to leave. This benefits me. When he cut them taxes in half, that took away their play money. That was their money they get to throw around to all their friends and people that vote for them. Like I said, he took their money away and gave it back to us. They hated him for it.
Well, I think that's but I also agree that's a whole nother reason for why we should have term limits.
Yeah, absolutely.
I agree with the term limits.
We need to have
talking
term
about
limits.
that for years.
Yeah.
But I've always looked at both parties, growing up. But in the past couple of years, I have learned about the difference in the parties and what their agendas are and what they're all about. And like I said, you got some Republicans that all they are is Democrats in disguise. But then you got some real Republicans like Trump was. Trump didn't do nothing but take it away from them and gave it back to the people. He got in there and run his mouth like a little child and carried on, sometimes bickering back and forth, like little kids name calling. And, I guess everybody's got a little child in them. But, other than that, he did a good job for the country and did a good job for the people.
I'm going to throw out a term limit thing here. I think back in North Carolina, up until the 1980s, I think it was, the governor could only serve one term, one consecutive term. Okay, he could serve 2 terms, but he had to sit out one. And Jim Hunt was the first
Yeah,
person
I
to come
remember
back.
Jim Hunt doing that.
Jim
yeah.
Hunt was
Yeah.
governor for 12 years.
Yeah.
First time was 4 years. There was a Republican elected after that. He couldn't run again. Then
Martin, I believe, wasn't it?
Who?
Jim Martin.
I think it was.
Yeah,
And then he served 2 more terms after that.
Mm-hmm.
After the legislature voted, actually, while he was in office the first time, if I'm not mistaken, could have been after he was out of office, they set it up so that it would be 2 consecutive terms they could serve. But anyway, he came back and served 2 more terms. I think we ought to go back to 1 term. 1 term for the president. 1 term for the president is enough. 1 term for the governor is enough. They're always campaigning.
I agree with the
last
governor,
half of
especially one we got now.
the last half of their term, they're campaigning. They're doing nothing but on the road campaigning.
But I think it should be across the board, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that's it.
Yeah, well, senators should be 1 term, 6 years.
Yeah.
You're going to have to
House.
allow 2 terms for Congress because they're only 2-year terms.
Well, then change that amount of time they're in
you
there.
got to go back for the Constitution and do that.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Well, we amend it in other ways.
Yeah, we do.
We could amend that.
All right, Louis, thank you, sir.
Yeah.
Well, all right, bud. Thank y'all. And one thing I leave y'all with, and I agree with Kelly on one thing. I don't know how in the world Cooper got back in, so I don't know nobody that voted for him.
I don't find anybody
All
that
right,
admits it.
y'all.
Take care. Got another caller before the break. Good morning. Who's this?
Hey, Rayford, this is Jennifer. How are
Hello,
y'all?
Jennifer. We're doing fine. Did you make the call last week?
Did I make the call?
Yeah, to the young lady that was in here.
Oh, I did.
Okay, good.
I did. I talked to her 10, 15 minutes. She said that she would try and be our voice. So she
Good.
was going to reach out to some people. I'll see where that goes. But I wanted to call in to this morning just to remind all the listeners out there that the Brain Health
Yes.
Resource Fair is today at Premier Nursing and Rehab on White Street from 9:30 to 4:30.
Got it. 9:30 to 4:30. Yeah, my wife was reminding me that last night. So
Okay, okay.
I just hadn't
wanted
got to it this morning. Okay.
I wanted just to call in and remind you. And yes, she did call me. I called her and left a message, and she called me right back within about 5 minutes. So I really
Wonderful.
appreciated that. And our little video that I put on Facebook, I checked it this morning. It has been viewed over 3.6 thousand times.
Wow.
And has had over 170 shares.
Cool.
And there has been all kinds of politicians tagged in it.
Mm-hmm.
But we will wait and see if any of them come through with a call.
Yeah. Sometimes you just never can tell.
That's right. That's right. But anyway, I just wanted to call in and remind y'all about that.
Got it.
So
Thank you,
thanks
Jennifer.
a lot.
Thanks.
All right.
All right.
Bye.
That's at Premier over here on White Street at the intersection of, oh God, I forgot the intersections. Center, no, not Center. Anyways, off White Street and West
The
Huff.
bypass.
White
Yeah.
Street and West Huff.
I call it
That's
the road
one.
to the bypass.
That's
but
it.
Yeah.
You're live and local Real Talk. We'll be right back.
38 West Corbett Avenue is Friendly City by the Sea.
Meatloaf. Stop by your local Wismart today, your friendly convenience store.
All right, we're back. Things are getting a little rough out there in California in the prisons. Did you see this?
No.
The third inmate in 11 days has been killed inside the walls. The latest killing happened at High Desert State Prison. Inmates William Lutz, 39, Timothy Smith, 40, and they attacked a fellow inmate, Terrence Coleman, a 51-year-old guy. Coleman died after the attack. Lutz was seriously injured and taken to a hospital. Smith is in isolation while an investigation is conducted. Last week, 2 inmates serving life sentences died after they were attacked at 2 different California prisons.
Hmm.
My,
Wow.
my.
Yeah.
Jail ain't nice.
No, it's not. Well, hopefully it won't be nice for this guy in Ohio. Now this is what I'm talking about sentencing guidelines and pleading down and plea deals, which I don't always like them. So let me read you the headline. Home health care worker pleads guilty to sexually abusing a 76-year-old woman there. Okay. This
No.
24-year-old piece of human trash was indicted in Ohio. Oh, it gets better. She's blind and has mental
Oh,
disabilities.
great.
Okay. He was indicted on 2 counts of gross sexual imposition and 1 count of patient abuse. No, it should be sexual assault. It's what it should be. And it wasn't. This is why I don't like oftentimes decisions made. So he took some kind of plea deal last Friday. and he pled guilty to 1 count of gross sexual imposition and
Not right.
patient abuse. As part of the agreement, 1 count was dismissed, and he gets up to 18 months per conviction. So there's 2, but that's nothing. So she was at a group home, and he was employee, and he was caring for, she's blind, nonverbal, has mental disabilities. And a coworker went in to relieve him that night and saw some kind of evidence. So they did an investigation. And they used DNA and other testing. They linked him to it. And I see the victim is under constant care. And the woman, the police lieutenant said the woman had no way to defend herself. Now, once again, there's a couple of things I know for a fact I'm capable of doing. And using my bare hands would be one of them against this piece of trash. And this is why I say that our laws against sexual abuse need to be changed. And there shouldn't be plea deals. And he
No.
should have been charged with rape or sexual assault, not this sexual imposition. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, well,
It doesn't sound like much of nothing.
that's pretty much.
If the maximum is up to
Was
18
he charged
months.
with that, or was
He was charged with the imposition. Yeah.
original charge?
Again, yeah.
Okay.
2 counts, and
What town?
it's
state was this?
Ohio.
Oh,
Yeah, I know. But this is why we need there needs to be certain things that are just in these blanket national laws that covers all 50 states.
Yep.
And that's it. Like our federal law system. This makes me so angry.
Yeah.
But no, because if he's done it to her, I'm willing to bet he's done it before and never got caught.
Now, when we come back from the break, I'm going to tell you one more that's going to make you even
Oh,
madder.
God.
You're live in local Real Talk. Don't go away. We'll be right back. All right, ready to get your dander up?
Go ahead and do it. Just do it, Jimmy.
This one's sick. Okay.
Oh,
The
God.
body of a missing 12-year-old girl discovered inside a suitcase in Paris on Friday.
Mhm.
Her throat was cut. Numbers were placed on her corpse with an instrument.
Numbers.
Yep. Carved them in or burned them in. Not sure which. The girl's parents reported her missing to police last Friday night. She had never returned home from school in the French capital. The father, a caretaker of the building where the family lived, told police that he saw his daughter on closed circuit TV of the building with a woman in her 20s standing there talking to her.
Mm-hmm.
The woman was later seen carrying the suitcase out of the building.
Oh, geez.
About 11:30 that night, a man called police to report a suitcase a few streets away from the family's residence. The suitcase contained the girl's body. 4 people are in custody and are being questioned. None of them are the family members.
Mm-hmm.
The numbers 1 and 0 were put on her body with some sort of a device. Could have been an engraving tool, a branding iron, or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
or a knife. Killed this girl. She suffocated,
Mm-hmm.
but they cut her throat too. They weren't sure she was dead. That's
Was
quite
it-
often
it's
what
like
happens.
some kind of serial killer thing? Is she number 10? Is she?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's
Don't know.
scary to think.
That is
Yeah.
just disgusting. Another vicious, stupid idiot with a gun opened fire on a crowd about 2:00 yesterday morning, wounding 8. None of the injuries are believed to be life-threatening. It appears the victims were gathered on a single block in Harrisonburg, Virginia. 2:00 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
They were having a block party.
You're having a block party, yeah.
The victims ranged in age from 18 to 27. Police
Mhm.
are not sure whether there was one shooter or more than one shooter. This is the one that got my goat, Creepy Joe. In a crowd of people in California, standing right behind a very young teenage girl, puts his left hand on her shoulder, then tells her, "Now, a very important thing I told my daughters and granddaughters, no serious guys until you're 30. She appeared to be about 13.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my.
This is a guy that should not be let off his leash, okay? He should be contained all the time. He puts his hand, standing behind her, puts his hand up on her shoulder.
Yuck.
Now, a very important thing. I told my daughters and my granddaughters, no serious guys until you're 30.
What even brought that about? Like, that's weird.
He's just standing there.
I'd have been like, what are you talking about?
The video was shot by a young man in spite of verbal efforts from the Secret Service to stop him, and has been seen as of yesterday afternoon by almost 3 million people. I'm going to tell you right now, whoever the Republican candidate for governor, for president is in 2024, I would seize that video,
Mhm.
seize it as and
I know
download
what
it,
you're saying.
and
Yeah.
pay for it,
Yeah.
buy it from the guy.
Mhm.
And do you not know what would be in every ad that I would be running in 2024? 3 million people ain't enough.
Yeah.
200 million, 250, 300 million people would be just about right. I would play it at every campaign stop that I did. I'd have a big screen TV up there. I would run that video into the ground. This guy is sick. He does not need to be president. He doesn't need to be president now. He doesn't need to be president in 2024. He's got a problem.
Yeah.
And I'm shame on Jill Biden for allowing him out. She knows he has a problem.
Mhm.
He has an illness.
Yeah.
Okay, we got to go.
Okay.
Tomorrow, Senator Tom Tillis is going to be joining us in the morning, so hang in there for that. That's at 8:05, so that should be an interesting conversation. Maybe we'll talk about Creepy Joe a little bit too. Have a great rest of your day, and go out and get some logs for your fire because you're going to need them tomorrow night.
You are.
Get ready to bring in your pets, bring in your neighbor's pets, bring in water because you're going to need them inside to help keep you warm tomorrow night.
Mhm.
You're live in local Real Talk Freedom 97.1, 1120 a.m. WSME.